Welcome to the video about my works finished in May, and if usually May is dedicated to mermaids and this month I actively participated in mermaid, let's start with pictures with mermaids. I'm happy that this year I did several mermaid pictures because somehow last year I wanted to color them, but then I totally skipped mermaid. Maybe I didn't have time, maybe I lost inspiration after I messed up with my mermaid picture from Kolorowanka book. Doesn't matter, but at least this year I did 4 mermaid pictures. Funny thing is that I colored not those pictures which I planned, so maybe during summer months I will continue because at least mermaid from William's Son and Mermaid from Jasmine Beckett Griffith's book I really want to color. But what I did, I remembered about this quite simple but interesting and original dark fairy tales book where I already started to color story about mermaid, and during previous years I did this one, I did this one. So I decided that it would be nice to color the beginning of the story, the first meeting between mermaid and her prince. So usual work with markers. Markers on this paper works so, not as bad as in very thin paper in Witches, but there were some problems, but I successfully masked them with a little bit of white paint. And I think that when you do stones or water, smooth blending isn't very important. And of course, for the main heroes, I used pencils. I tried to use majority of colors from the previous projects, so mermaid has the same look as I did, as I selected for her hero, and I was surprised myself how shiny this tail looks. So I tried to use almost the same colors, but this time I decided that maybe a little bit of this interesting magenta or pink color would be a nice addition to the general color of the tail. I think that it makes scales more shiny. Maybe I wasn't very happy how I added Posca to her hair. It doesn't look very natural, blended with polychromos pencils, but still it's better because this page, it has a lot of very thick black lines. It's one downside of this book, many very thick lines where you totally don't know to mask them, to leave them, so I was slightly confused, and I decided in the end that on the hair I will try to mask, the rest of the black lines I will leave. Next mermaid probably is my favorite because it's from my favorite book, Colorless Kingdom by Chris Ortega. If you follow me, you probably know how much I love Chris Ortega books, but somehow most frequently I color in the first volume, and here there was, in my opinion, one of the best pictures by Chris Ortega. I always liked it, but I always was afraid to start it. Finally, this year I decided that it's time. No, I didn't want to postpone it at least until the next May. Beginning was quite challenging. I started with markers. I wanted to do stormy sky and stormy clouds, and here markers didn't blend very well. But then I decided that again, on clouds, on stones, it's okay if I have rough borders between colors, a little bit of stains. On top I used gray and white acrylic. It helped me to mask lines on clouds, to emphasize better this part of the ship, and then I added this foam on top of the water. I think that it refreshed background a little bit. For the heroes, as usual, I used polychromos pencils. Well, all pencils work with problems on this thin paper, but for me probably polychromos are the best choice, especially when you need to color skin For me, polychromos, they create more clear blends, because Prismacolors somehow when I start to add shading on fair skin, it starts to look a little bit dirty. So my favorite medium here is polychromos pencils. I used them here, and I think that I'm quite satisfied how I did these leather trousers, how I did those folds on the fabric. I decided that he is pirate, so instead of traditional white linen shirt, I decided to do this more interesting bright red, or dark red probably. And it created a nice focal point in the middle of the page. For her, I selected all those golden orange colors with small addition of a very light greenish color. It's almost yellow green, because I needed something for her top here, and I decided to repeat it a little bit on the veils and on the tail. I think that it looks quite lovely. My biggest problem was to color those shells with their small size and with this paper. In the end, I colored them with felty pens, and it reminded me that maybe felty pens could be a good, helpful solution for this paper, where it's impossible to work with pencils, where paper doesn't allow you. Maybe felty pens could be a nice addition for the next project. So in the end, I'm very happy with the finished look of it, and I'm glad that this year I added already several nice pictures for this book. It's definitely a point where I can be proud of myself. When I color mermaids, I try to use different colors for their tails, for their hair, and next experiment I did in deep blue. Well, in this deep blue, so far I have only one finished picture, but beautiful. It's a picture which I definitely consider one of my best. And when I started my second picture here, I didn't want to mess up. Here somehow coloring was a little bit more problematic. I don't know, maybe even filming was more problematic. What I can see in real life, it's more bright and vibrant, clear colors. When I applied them, when I started to film, they look more dull, more dirty, but believe me, in real life it looks quite vibrant. Here I used markers for quicker background, Prismacolor pencils, because I wanted to do shell in this clay rose, gray lavender colors, which are unique for Prismacolors. So shell is Prismacolors, the rest polychromos, because I imagined her with this terracotta sanguine Indian red colors for her hair, and they are unique for polychromos. I think that the best decision for me was to do these bright fishes. In the beginning, I planned to do them as regular gold fishes with yellow tails, yellow veils, but after golden tail, it was too much. I decided that it's enough yellow colors, enough gold, so I needed something different. So this orange, red, black was perfect decision. At least I think so. On many pictures by Fabiana Atanasio, we have a lot of these lines. Yes, here they were justified. There were maybe like they represented movement of water or waves, but the same lines I have everywhere in her mythographic paradise. There I mask them constantly in her other books. So I hope that if she continues to do books in mythographic series, she would consider to do lesser amount of such lines, because it's honestly here you can see everywhere. At least here, yes, we have water, but amount of time which I spent on covering all these lines on the background and here, it was insane. It was almost the same as I spent on the whole image. Yeah, markers were helpful, because without markers I think that I would spend maybe 2 times longer on it. But otherwise I think that it's lovely, and I am glad that at least something I colored in deep blue. And finally, totally unexpected, I did Mermaid in Sagar och Sakner. I don't remember when was the last time when I touched this book, but now when everywhere started to talk about this newest edition, that it will be republished, I remembered how much I enjoyed coloring in this book. So in the beginning I planned to do a totally different mermaid in this book, but in the end I decided that this one is the most beautiful. I still have at least one or two mermaids here. They will have to wait until the next year. I decided that for this page I want to do quite simple watercolor background, and honestly I don't like how watercolor behaves on this paper. It's not my first attempt to use watercolors. The first one was a total catastrophe. Here it was so ugly that I totally abandoned this page for many years. And after that I used either acrylic or gouache paint, but this time I decided that indigo background would be the best. Despite these strange stains which I got, I still think that for water it's not the worst thing, so they didn't mess up the final look of the page. And color created quite good contrast to the bright image in the middle. So I wouldn't recommend to use watercolor here, and I hope that the new edition from the new publisher, it will have paper which is more suitable for watercolor. For watercolor paints, it's strange because ink tents I used here and there behaved much better, so maybe for the next projects I will try to use Derwent ink tents. But let's talk about this beauty. I immediately knew that I want to use this aquamarine dark green colors for her hair, so it will be the focal point for the whole composition. So after that I simply had to find colors which would complement this color, and well, you can recognize that here I used Prismacolor pencils because such unique colors like a light green, light aqua, cobalt turquoise, a salmon pink here, they are easily recognizable. I also tried to forget that I tend to color in realistic colors. I think that this book allows us to be a little bit more creative. So in the end, I think that everything looks quite well balanced. I don't know what we have here, so I tried to color it as a less vibrant element. And the only disappointment was that when I added nice white dots here on these seaweeds in her hair, and after a couple of days, a white Posca on top of dioxazine purple, it turned into pink. I still don't know if I like it or no, probably no, but well, it's a chemical reaction of Posca with Prismacolor pigment. But otherwise, I think that she is quite lovely. I love how I did her skin. She even looks shiny. With my limited skills with portraits, I think that her skin looks really quite decent. I promised myself that from this moment I will try to color in this book more frequently. Now let's talk about simple works. In Matchstick Mouse I did 3 pictures. Usually you know that I color here when I am tired, when I don't need to do something very adventurous, when I simply want to relax. So my 3 pictures for May were this company waiting until the rain outside will stop, but I still think that they have nice time, they have this comfy room, and they probably are chatting together. But they also had some fun time in the rain. I especially love this worm, such nice shape. Again, it was a little bit challenging how to do this. All those fallen drops of the rain, so I did dark background, then I used 2 Posca pens, a light blue for those drops which are on the second layer, and those which are on the foreground I did with white Posca, and I used different shape of them, so I think that picture looks quite wet. But my favorite for me, it was this picture with plein air. I think that my mouse, she created something nice here. I decided that I want to use a lot of pastel colors for the flowers, for the sky, but my mouse has some artistic decided to use some artistic difference for her painting, so I deliberately did different color for the sky, different color for the flowers. It helped to make more intense element in the middle, and the focal point, it's definitely this central part. I also think that it's a nice connection between orange head and orange flowers here. As usual, this worm, it's my huge love. I continue my love-hate relationship with this Year of Witches. Again, each time when I color in it, I promise myself that never more on this paper. It's impossible to color and to enjoy. Even markers, even close colors of markers, they don't want to blend. But in the end, when I look at the finished picture, I think that, but they are lovely, girls are lovely, there are so many cute elements. And in May, I did this office, home office. I already did several rooms here, so I needed something different for the wallpaper. I selected quite close colors for markers to make slightly lighter wallpaper on top and darker here behind the furniture, but still they created stains between two colors. I wasn't happy, but this idea to add some pattern, even the simple one, on the wallpaper, I think that it saved my background. Here also, when I tested markers on the paper, it looked more brown. Here all my selected markers, they had this strange orange undertone, so all the shadows, all contrasts, highlights I had to add on top of markers with polychromos. Despite these technical problems, I think that final look of the page is nice. Usually when I color girls, I try to use matching colors, at least for some of the elements in their clothes. The same thing here. I always enjoy to color their heads. So difficult, but final look is really lovely. So, and I'm sure that I will continue to color pictures here. I finally returned to Layla Dully, and because of the huge size of the book, I think that I need to adjust my camera, because a walk in the woods, it's big, but Floribunda, which I also colored in May, it's even more huge. So I purchased this walk in the woods. I wasn't sure if I want to spend money on it, but in the end I decided that as it has some small projects which I can color in short time, maybe I really need this book. In May I did one big picture. Here I experimented with various materials. Here leaves I did with first layer of Inktense, and Derwent Inktense worked well here. I love how they blend here, how they spread over the paper or after activating with water. After Inktense were dry, I decided to add smaller elements to work on additional color accents and shadows with polychromos. And terrible thing, I don't like how polychromos worked here. Somehow they didn't give me enough vibrancy. On these dandelions, they look quite dull. Now these dandelions, they look nice and bright yellow because I had to cover them with felt tip pen on top. So it was strange. After that I decided that maybe I need to do a test. I wasn't very surprised because I remember that I had already similar problem with polychromos in Floribunda. I absolutely love polychromos in Flower Year. There they are my favorite, but in Floribunda, paper wasn't the best for them. Their Prismacolors are my best choice. I decided to use a spread for my own testing. So this tiny thing I did with Inktense and polychromos. Well, this one, sorry guys, I think that it's Prismacolors probably. This one definitely was Arteza, and this one polychromos. And polychromos was my least favorite. Despite my huge love to a palette of green colors in Prismacolor pencils, I think that I won't be using them here, maybe only for the leaves. For the flowers, Prismacolors are much better. And I think that this idea for the big pictures to use Inktense as a first layer to make your coloring quicker, it's definitely a good thing. Now I just need to test how watercolors behave here, so it will be a thing for June testing. Apart from this one, I finally returned for Floribunda, and it was thanks to our color along, which we usually do with Ukrainian colorists, and we invite everyone to color with Ukraine, and the theme was poppies. I remember that in this book we have perfect poppies. While I'm looking for them, I will tell you a story. I purchased this book many years ago while I was actively coloring in Flower Year. I promised myself that first I will finish Flower Year and then I will start to color this one. Then I broke my own promise and I did two pictures here. This one and this one. They already in my book for maybe 4 years, maybe even older, and then I had a long break. So I'm quite happy to return with this very vibrant page. I decided to practice different color combos for poppy petals. When I just started to color, poppies were one of my most challenging, most difficult subjects. I never managed to show how transparent, how delicate are their petals with those folds, with their elegant curves. But now when I started to use stronger contrasts, lighter colors on tips and darker colors between petals and in the middle, I think that my poppies started to look much better. So let me show you this beauty. I think that it's one of the best works for me. And yeah, Prismacolors everywhere apart from leaves. Here I used polychromos. This book is printed almost on cardstock, and when I color with polychromos with their hard tip, I have this strange feeling like I am slightly damaging surface of this cardstock. And again, Prismacolor, they give a much more vibrant color. So I decided for myself that it's the best to combine natural green colors for leaves from polychromos box and Prismacolors to get vibrant colors for flowers. Well, Ivy and Inky Butterfly wasn't very lucky in May. I started to do a spread, no, not this one, here. With this strange fat bee, I decided to do this background with honeycomb. But then maybe I overwhelmed this page with these additional dots, additional flowers. I wanted somehow to balance this empty top part with this busy bottom part to compensate with the strange look of this bee. But well, maybe I used too much colors. So I created problems for myself. Now I don't know how to use similar palette for the left side to have finished spread, and I abandoned it for a couple of weeks, but then I started another spread, and I think that here everything looks much more interesting, much more promising. So I hope that during next days I will finish this one. Here I think that everything looks much more adult comparing to that strange bee. My two main favorites are definitely in Symphony of Cute Animals. I think that I finally mastered how to color on this paper with Prismacolors. Still, a lot of problems with blending, but this month's results were much better comparing to what I did during previous months. As usual, I forgot to put my bookmarks, but that's normal for me. You know that I love finished spreads, even if they are not united by subject, by color palette, but still. Couple of months ago I did this Mr. Croxy, so this fashionable frog, and I decided that I want to do page on the right side. Here I think that everything worked quite well. Many gray shades, gray-brown shades from Prismacolor pencils were quite helpful here to create impression of this old stones, old wall, partly covered by moss. I decided to do several bright elements, like these flowers, couple of bright flower pots, this watering can, and other elements. So I think that it was the first time when I was happy how I did grass on this paper. I didn't have problems with shading, and I was so happy that I finally mastered Prismacolors here. So almost the next day I started another page here. And here I also was very happy how quickly and easily I colored this one. It always was one of my favorite pictures here. You know that I love to color everything for the kitchen theme. I decided that as we have here a lot of various objects, I need to divide them into several color groups. For the main table where I selected this blue, white, red classical colors, I was inspired, how it called this, it's tableware from France, like Diguan or something like this. And this they use a lot of this blue, dark blue, red colors, and it looks very stylish. Apart from it, a lot of brown colors, because we have a lot of wood, and I decided that this pastel pink will be a nice addition to the color palette. Quite lovely, well balanced, and on this paper first I had problems how to do glass, but I think that finally I mastered and everything worked almost as well as in Manuel de Bonheur, where I never have problems with Prismacolors. Proud of each element, and I think that for me it was a good progress in Symphony. I think that in June I will do a short break, but in July I will return to this book. Another big return apart from Leila Dooley, it was Anna Carson. I think that only last year I did two pictures in maybe in Forest Kingdom, but these first books I hadn't touched for many years, and somehow in May I did page in Magical Dawn and page in Daydreams. I started in Daydreams because I was inspired by this crown. Somehow I looked at it, I really liked how it's decorated not only by gemstones but also by flowers, and I decided that for me it will be summer crown. It's quite vibrant. Several areas I do love, how this bottom part of the crown, I deliberately used more reddish shades for the gold this time. Usually I base my gold either on Polychromos green gold or Prismacolor Artichoke. This time I used more reddish colors, so it's more orange even, to complement those red and purple flowers. Area which I don't like is these flowers, which reminds me about dahlias. Not sure that I selected right color for them, and said this white edge, it was the best decision. But otherwise I think that it was lovely. Of course, for the background I used my usual method, regular watercolor, and then I sprinkled it with metal pearlescent colors. using the same colors which I used for the crown. A little bit of golden dots, a little bit of orange dots, metal green. It was easy and quick. After summer crown, I decided that I want to do a spring crown. Fortunately, in the books by Anna Carlson, we have many pictures with crowns. As a spring one, I selected a page in Magical Dawn. Let me show you final page for May. It's my spring crown. Personally, I like it a little bit more comparing to the summer. Maybe because I started to feel again this vibe of Anna Carlson books. I started to feel more confident because after this 4-5 years break, 5 years ago I colored in Anna Carlson book almost every day. Now I had to feel them again, to feel her style, to decide whether I want to mask lines or to leave them. Here I started with this background. I knew from the beginning that my flowers will be in this lilac, violet, pastel pink colors, so I wanted to use the same colors as accents on the background. Here it was a fun, maybe not very fun process. I used this wet on a wet technique when you pre-wet the whole paper, and while paper is still wet, you need to put basic green color, and in this wet paper you drop additional colors, a little bit of turquoise, a little bit of violet. You need to work quick if you want to create these beautiful stains. I started to work on it. Everything is wet. My green paint is floating over the whole paint. I start to add lilac and turquoise, then metal paints, and then we have aerate siren. I continue to work because again I need to work quick. My family yelled to me like, stop coloring, we need to go to the shelter. It's not even drones, it's ballistic missiles. And I answer, I can't stop because it's my only page. For the spring crown, I can't mess it up. I want to finish the background. I don't have duplicates, so it was a little bit strange feeling, but I finished it quickly and everything was safe. After that, after it was dry, in more calm circumstances, I did my crown, and I think that it's okay. In the beginning, I thought that maybe background is a little bit too active. Maybe I added too many color accents here, but it was justified. I was slightly stressed. Most of all, I am proud of this central element with pearls, but I also think that gold looks quite shiny, and now I think that I will try to select a couple of pictures for winter and fall crown. Wish me luck. Maybe until the end of the year I will have the full set of these seasonal crowns, thanks to Anna, who put a lot of crowns in all her books. Well, that was the last page which I wanted to show you for May. I think that May was quite good. I love all my works. I didn't struggle with some coloring blocks. I didn't have enough time, but it's normal. In the end of month we started to have blackouts again, so we needed some time to adjust when I can color, when I can't color. Without electric power it's quite complicated, of course, but I hope that in June I will do something, because it really, I feel that when I color, when I stitch, I feel more calm inside, and in these difficult circumstances it's really it helps to maintain at least a little bit of impression of normal life. Thank you. I hope that you liked my May works. Thank you for your support. I hope that your mermaid also was successful. I intend to continue pictures with mermaids, so maybe somewhere in the end of summer I will do a review of all my finished pictures with mermaids. Thank you. Until the next videos.